Writing ID equals a 93,201. Variant equals creative. Title equals a little twin girls cried, "Please help, Mama's hurt." The single dad dropped everything and ran. It started with a sound no parent ever forgets, the kind of scream that cuts through every wall, every heartbeat, every thought. Two little voices, trembling and desperate, cried out from the other end of the phone, "Please help, Mama's hurt." Mark Thompson froze mid-step in the middle of his small auto shop. He could hear the panic in those voices, the cries of his 6-year-old twin daughters, Lily and Emma. His wrench clattered to the floor, the noise echoing through the garage like a shot. His hands shook as he fumbled to get more words out of them. "What happened? Where's your mom?" he gasped, already sprinting toward his truck before they could answer. It had been 3 years since Mark and his ex-wife Clara had gone their separate ways. The split hadn't been easy, but they'd promised to keep things civil for the girls. He'd rebuilt his life piece by piece, raising the twins every other week, juggling work and fatherhood, learning how to make pancakes without burning them, and staying up for bedtime stories even on nights when exhaustion pulled him under. But nothing could have prepared him for that phone call. As he tore down the quiet streets of Maplewood, rain began to drizzle, blurring his vision through the windshield. His mind raced with every worst-case scenario possible. He'd always admired how Clara had handled things, her strength, her calm, but now, the image of her lying hurt while their daughters cried for help was unbearable. He didn't even realize how fast he was driving until a siren wailed behind him. He pulled over only long enough to shout at the officer that his daughter's mother was hurt, that he had to go. Something in his tone must have hit the man hard, because without another word, the officer said, "Go. Just go." When Mark reached Clara's house, the front door was wide open. He dashed inside to find chaos, shattered glass on the floor, a chair toppled over, and two little girls clutching each other on the couch. "Daddy," they cried as he rushed in. He knelt, pulling them close, scanning the room with wild eyes. "Where's Mama?" "In the kitchen," Lily whispered between sobs. "She fell and won't wake up." He ran into the kitchen, his heart pounding like thunder. There was Clara, crumpled on the floor beside the counter, her phone still clutched in her hand. Mark's chest tightened. "Clara, Clara, wake up." He checked for a pulse. Thank God it was there, faint but steady. He grabbed a towel to stop the bleeding from a gash on her forehead and dialed 911 with trembling fingers. Minutes later, the paramedics arrived. The twins clung to each other as their mother was lifted onto a stretcher. Mark held their hands tight, whispering over and over, "She'll be okay. I promise." He wasn't sure if he was saying it for them or for himself. At the hospital, he waited outside the emergency room, the twins asleep on either side of him. The clock ticked past midnight, and every second felt like an hour. His mind replayed everything: the divorce, the arguments, the guilt of not being there enough. But in that moment, none of it mattered. All he wanted was for Clara to wake up. When the doctor finally came out, Mark shot to his feet. "She's going to be okay," the doctor said with a tired smile. "A mild concussion, some blood loss, but she's stable. You got her here in time." Mark exhaled a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. He looked down at the twins, still sleeping, their faces streaked with dried tears. He brushed their hair back gently. "See, girls, Mama's strong," he whispered. Later that night, as he sat by Clara's bedside, she stirred awake. Her voice was weak, but her eyes softened when they found his. "You came," she said quietly. He let out a shaky laugh. "You didn't think I wouldn't." Her lips trembled into a faint smile. "The girls, are they okay?" "They're fine," he said. "You scared the life out of us." A tear slid down her cheek. "I slipped. I tried to reach the phone, but—" She shook her head. "I thought I was going to die." Mark reached for her hand. "You're here. That's what matters." And for a long moment they sat in silence, two people once broken apart, now bound again by something stronger than resentment, love for their children, and a fragile gratitude that life had given them another chance. The next morning, as sunlight streamed through the hospital blinds, Lily and Emma burst into the room, their laughter echoing through the quiet ward. "Mama," they squealed, climbing onto the bed. Clara smiled through tears as she hugged them tightly. Mark stood back, watching them, something stirring deep inside him. Maybe it was guilt, maybe it was hope, or maybe it was the realization that family isn't just about being together, it's about showing up when it matters most. Clara turned to him with soft eyes. "Mark," she said, "thank you for everything." He shrugged, blinking away tears. "Don't thank me, just promise me you'll let me help more, with the girls, with everything." She nodded slowly. "I think I'd like that." Days turned into weeks, and life began to settle again. Clara recovered, and the twins started sleeping through the night without waking from nightmares. Mark found himself spending more time at Clara's house, fixing things, cooking dinner, helping with bedtime routines. The laughter came back, the warmth, the sense of something healing. One evening, as they all sat around the table eating spaghetti, Lily suddenly looked up and said, "Mama, Daddy, can we all live together again?" The room went quiet. Mark and Clara exchanged a glance, uncertain but not resistant. Clara smiled faintly. "We'll see, sweetheart, one day at a time." Mark's heart swelled as he watched their daughters twirl noodles on their forks, giggling. It wasn't perfect, nothing ever was, but in that moment it was enough. As he tucked the twins into bed that night, they looked up at him and whispered, "Thank you for saving Mama." He kissed their foreheads. "You too saved her," he said softly. "You called me. You were brave." Downstairs, Clara stood in the doorway, watching him with quiet admiration. The man she'd once thought she'd lost was there again, not as her husband, maybe not yet, but as the father of her children, the man who ran without hesitation when they needed him most. And though the scars of their past still lingered, something new was blooming, fragile but real. Hope, because sometimes it takes the sound of your children crying for help to remind you of what truly matters: love, family, and the strength to start again.